Hello, welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for joining me today. Today we are here to talk about my goals. Every month I sit down and share with you how all of my action steps for last month went and all of the action steps for my goals that I have set for the upcoming month. And I can be pretty chatty in this video, so we are going to jump right into it. I use the Cultivate What Matters Power Sheets Goal Planner. That was a mouthful. I never realized when you actually say all the words about this product, it's a mouthful. To figure out what my goals are and what the action steps I am going to take each month to work on them are as well. So if you have never watched any of my goals videos before, I would highly recommend that you hop back and watch last quarter's quarterly goals video where I share my overarching quarterly goals. So I have 6 annual goals for the entire year. I've actually narrowed it down to only focusing on 4 this quarter. 2 of them I've kind of just let go for the rest of 2021 because I already feel like I've made a lot of progress and I feel good about where I'm at with those goals. So I'm focusing in on 4 goals this quarter, and I have 5 specific quarterly focuses for those 4 goals. That was a lot. I just said a lot of numbers, I know. Let's talk about the specific action steps that I took or didn't take in the month of July. So starting with the monthly action items. Before I jump into them and recap them, I wanna answer a question that I got on Instagram that I thought would be valuable to answer here. And that is, how do I decide how far I'm gonna shade along in this bar? Because you'll notice that some of them I've shaded all the way and some of them I've shaded just a little bit. And the truth is, I don't really have a perfect system for it. I will tell you, I gave it this much because I at least did something. Most of the time, if I at least did something, I will give it a couple little squiggles. Sometimes it's really easy to figure out like, oh, I made it exactly halfway, and so I color halfway. All I really want to do is show myself that I have started to make progress. I have done something. It's not just that I have done nothing because I haven't reached the end. And then coloring it all the way through means I'm done and it's off my plate, out of my mind, and I don't have to think about it anymore. So let's start talking about them. The first one was to work through the No BS course. I talked about this course a lot more in the quarterly video and then again in last month's video, but I have joined a weight loss, it's really more of a community, but there's a course aspect to it that's like pre-filmed for you to go watch. And I shaded this, I tried to make it halfway. I realized I went a little bit further than halfway, but I made it halfway. There are 4 modules and I have done the first 2. I had intentions of getting through all of the modules this month, but I also didn't account for the fact that this month was going to be super, super busy between our vacation, my brother coming to visit, and then going to Chicago for the end of the month. There just wasn't time to do more than those 2 modules. And so I have to remind myself, you did a lot of other things this month that aren't on your power sheets. And so be proud of the 2 modules that you did do. Obviously, I'm carrying this action step over to next month so that way I can finish the other 2 modules, but I did make some progress in July. The next monthly action item was to go rollerblading. I'm so excited about this. I'm still like giddy because I had so much fun. I used to love rollerblading as a kid and I bought a pair of adult rollerblades and wanted to get back out there and do it, partially for movement and exercise and partially just to have fun and enjoy the weather and enjoy the fresh air. So I went and I shaded that all the way in. My goal for July was just to go once, and you will see what the goal is for August. The next 4 action items were all related to the wedding, and 1 I started, 2 I didn't even touch, and 1 I completed all the way. So the first one is getting through the flowers. I did reach out to the florist. I like picked the one I'm gonna use. It was like almost a week ago and I haven't heard back. So that's why I got the shade, because I did something, but obviously carrying this over to August because it did not get done. And I think one of the things I realized with the wedding stuff, which is why you'll see in August, I actually have a lot more wedding stuff, is some of these things might not get done in a month. Unless I send that first email like on the 1st of the month, it might take more than a month to get from initial email to signed contract. So I just need to be okay that I'm likely not gonna shade all the way over for all the wedding stuff. And that's why I'm okay with adding more stuff, because I'd rather shade a little bit and at least get started on some of these other things than put like one thing and be like, this is the one thing I'm gonna focus on, but then when I don't finish it, I feel like I didn't accomplish anything wedding related. The next 2 were the hotel block and the on-site plan. Those just got moved to August. And then the one I actually did finish out this month, which I actually started in July, so that's why I was able to shade it all the way to the end, was getting the appetizers situated and also the vegan option. So we are getting catering from Rudy's. I mentioned this last month. Rudy's barbecue. It's so good. And they do not do appetizers or vegan dishes. So we are getting a vegan caterer and just having drop off from her. She has been so amazing to work with, by the way. And she is doing our appetizers and our vegan entrees. The next one was the July one little word project. I did that one start to finish. And then the last one was to get photos printed for my memory keeping. And I did shade in this one a little bit because I did get some photos printed. I did 1 week of memory keeping, which we'll talk about when we get to the weekly items. And then I obviously had to print that week. And then I also printed out all of March. So I at least have all of March printed out. My goal was to get them all printed out. So not just March, but also April and May and June. And that didn't happen. So I obviously have carried over this action step to August, but I am proud that I at least made some progress on this goal. All right, let's move on to the weekly action items. Normally I struggle with weekly action items. For me, I'm much better off if they are things that only have to happen once a week. It's things like meal planning or cleaning. But for these two goals, these weekly action items is just really how I broke it down. I need to get through X number of books by the end of the quarter, and that equates to 1 book a week. Although you'll see when we get to next month, it actually does not anymore. And so I have expanded that a little bit. But in terms of, we're still on July, Laken. In terms of July, I did get 2 of the 3 weeks. I'm filming this video a little bit earlier than normal. So I'm only about halfway through week 3 of July. You can see I label the weeks there at the bottom. So I did 2 of the 3. The only week I didn't do was the week we were on vacation, which is fine. All right, the next 2 are both related to memory keeping. So the first one was to do the current week, which this week I did, and I'm so proud of. And I think I was confusing myself because when I say current week, I mean the week before. Like this week I did last week's, and I did that. So I got the check mark for that. I didn't do it the past 2 weeks, and then I haven't done a prior week yet, but I have them all printed out. I may not get to a prior week this month. If I'm being totally honest, it may not happen because my brother's here this weekend and next week when we're in Chicago, and so it just might not happen, but you will see how I'm compensating for that in August. All right, moving on to the daily items. I thought it would be fun to try something a little bit different for the daily items. Not try something different, but talk about them in a different way. So instead of just saying oh, I feel like I did a good job or I don't feel like I did a good job, I actually did some math. And I actually calculated the % that I completed each of these daily action items as of day 21. I'm filming this on the 22nd. So as of yesterday, how many days have I finished this habit? So the first one was to get 7 hours of sleep, and I did that 18 out of 21 days, which is 86%. I would say that's pretty good. That is a solid B. I think 2 of those were days that we were traveling. And so it was almost impossible for me to get the right amount of sleep unless I went to bed super early or I was sleeping on a plane the other time. Those are 2 of the 3 times. So I'm pretty proud of that one. I am carrying this one over into August only because while I did a good job, right? I did 86%. I still found myself sometimes trying to push and say oh, I'm gonna get up super early tomorrow and I'm only gonna get 6 hours of sleep, but then I don't get my check mark. So, all right, I'll push and get 7. And when I find myself thinking that, it still means that having it in the power sheets is helping me make progress on that. So that's why I'm carrying it over. The next one was 100 ounces of water, and this one I did 20 out of 21 times, 95%. And that one that I didn't was the day that we took the red eye. It was the day after that, and I then came home and slept until noon, and I just didn't get my 100 ounces of water in. I am really freaking proud of that. I am really proud. I was consistently doing my 64 ounces, and I upped it to 100 last month, thinking I'm pushing myself, and even if I don't get I think I even said that in last month's video, even if I don't get the check every day, I know I'm getting my 64, so I feel good. I missed 1 day. So super, super excited about that. Super proud of that. That one is not getting carried over to August. The next one was to make my eating plan for the day. If you watch last month's video, I talk all about what that entails. And I did that 14 out of 21 days, so 67%. But the days that I didn't do it, the 7 days I didn't do it, were on vacation. And it was kind of hard to make a plan when I didn't know what we were doing for different meals and kind of all over the place. So I feel really good about that 67%. And then following the plan was 10 out of 21, which that percentage feels worse because it's 48%. But the way I'm looking at it is 10 out of 14. So of the 14 plans I made, I followed it 10 of those 14 days. So I feel good about that one. Both of those I am carrying over to August though. And then the last health related one was to work on my push-ups. And I decided like after a couple weeks into July that I'm not gonna make that a goal anymore. I kind of switched over to a more weighted, focused arm challenge that I'm working on through Peloton. But of the 16 days that it was a goal, I did 11 of 16, which is 69%. Still pretty good, still proud of that. I do feel like I am getting stronger. And then the last 2 daily items were related to keeping my routines intact through this transition period. And so for AM routine, I did 18 out of 21, which is 86%. I am super proud of that one. I'm actually not carrying that one over to August because I do feel like that, even though, like, if I think about it, right, that's the same percentage as the 7 hours of sleep, but that one is getting carried over to August because I can just tell. I can tell the difference in me doing that, whether I'm doing it for the check or I'm not, or I'm doing it because I want to do it and it's a goal of mine. Does that make sense? Like, there are times that I do it for the check and that's when I know I need to keep carrying it over. And then there are times that I know that it's just a habit or it's something that I just do all the time now. So AM routine was good. PM routine was not quite as good. I did 11 out of 21, which is 52%. Not great, but guess what? 52 is better than 0. Yeah, it's not the best. It's actually one of the worst of all the habits, and that's why it's getting carried over to August. But you know what? I still did it 11 times, and I should be proud of that. Overall, given everything that I know I had or have going on this month that it is not captured on this piece of paper, I am proud of everything that I've accomplished in July and excited about the progress that I've made. But let's turn the page and let's move over to August and let's start with the encouraging words. So I use an app, I've talked about this before, called Motivation, and it's essentially an app full of motivational quotes. And one of the things I love about the app, now I do pay for the pro version, so I don't know if any of the things that I mentioned might be something you can't get with the free version because I pay for the pro version. But one of the things that I can do is I can go in and search a word and I could see all the quotes that have that word in it. And I just think that that is super cool. So the word that I really wanted to focus on this month was consistency. I wanted to remind myself every day, my encouraging words, that it is more about consistency. So even if you have to scale back, even if it's smaller, even if it's not perfect, consistency is the goal. And so I searched for the word consistent and I found this quote that I really like. And the quote is, "Small consistent effort every day will produce far more than random explosions of energy." And then for priority, I just wrote the word consistency because that's really what I want to focus on this month. So let's get into the action items. Before I show you any of these pages, I have to say this. You do not need to fill up every line of your power sheets, ever, 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 ever. I have every line filled up, which is it's the first time in a long time that I've done that. And I did that because I know I'm being overambitious. I know there will be things on here that don't get checked off. I know that I will not make 100% perfect progress in the month of August, and I'm okay with that. I can look at my power sheets and see empty space and still be proud of what I'm working on. If you are not like that and seeing those empty spaces and that empty checkmark box not checked off motivates you less, then definitely don't fill up every line. I also don't have any plans in August. We get back from Chicago August 2nd, and after that, we're not going anywhere until September, and I don't have anyone coming to town. August is very, almost empty is the word I want to use. So I feel okay about filling up every line of my power sheets, but I just want to caveat that before I jump into this. All right, so monthly action items. The first one is to finish out the No BS course, direct carryover from July since I didn't finish July's. The next two monthly action items are both related to one little word. And what I actually did this month was I broke it up into two different pieces because there really are two pieces to the one little word project. There's watching the video and understanding what the project is. And then there's a secret little in-between step that I don't show here for me, which is getting my photos printed at the drugstore. And then there's actually completing the project. And one of the things that I have been doing is working on the project during the Patreon co-working time. Well, if I don't do the video and get the photos printed in advance, mostly I just forget. Not that I didn't have time, but I forget to do it before that co-working, then I don't use that co-working time to its fullest. And so by splitting it out, it was really to remind me to do those pieces at two different times. That's just how it works for me. If you're somebody who prints your photos at home, you might not need to split it up into two pieces like this, but that's what works for me. So I'm gonna put the August video in my calendar earlier in the month. That way I can get the photos printed, and then the August project will be my activity for the August co-working session. The next one is also a direct carryover from July, and that is to get all the photos printed. I am hoping to get April, May, June, and then whatever rest of July I need printed so that I am ready to go for the rest of the quarter. The next monthly action item is really just in here so that I don't back out. So if you have been around for a long time, I used to be a member of a dance company here in the city called DanceWorks. I love DanceWorks. I haven't been a member for a number of seasons now because it always kept conflicting with a wedding that we had. Either the dress rehearsal or the actual show has conflicted with either like a wedding or a graduation for the past however many seasons, or Go Wild. It conflicted one time with Go Wild. So I haven't been able to go in a long time. And I went to a dance workshop back in June that was hosted by DanceWorks. It was outdoors in Brooklyn. It was beautiful. And at that workshop, the director of the company said, she was like, I've almost got everything figured out for the fall season. Like, we're gonna be able to do it in person. She was so excited. And in my head, I was thinking, that's fun, but like, there's no way. We have 5 weddings, September, October, November. There's no way that there is not gonna be a conflict in the fall season that's gonna work for my schedule. And I kind of just forgot about it. And then last week, they announced all the dates for the fall stuff. And I have no conflicts, none. The auditions aren't until August after I get back from Chicago. The dress rehearsal and the show don't conflict with any of our weddings. Like, I can do it. I can do the show. And so I like went back and forth, right? I talked to friends, I talked to my mom, I talked myself into it, I talked myself out of it, talked to Sam. Like, I went back and forth for days and days, and then I finally decided, like, no, you're gonna do this. This could potentially be your last show because the spring may not work with the weddings you have in the spring. And then next fall, like, who knows what the future is gonna look like. If you can make it work this season, you need to do it. And so I wrote on my power sheets to go to the DanceWorks audition in August so that I'm holding myself accountable. Obviously there's the chance that I don't make the company. I do think that because I've been a part of it in the past, I made it before, even though obviously I'm a couple years older, I at least will make the tap numbers. I'm also gonna audition for hip hop and I may not be able to keep up, and so I may not make any of those dances, but I am gonna at least audition for tap and hopefully make it and get to do the show this fall. All right, and then the last 5 are all related to the wedding. And like I mentioned when we were talking about July, I am comfortable putting all of these things down because I at least want to do something, right? I at least want to make one step towards getting all of these done. In fact, some of them I already have. Like, some of them I already have started to make progress, but I want to at least take one more step. And so I'm gonna just shade as I go, as I take little steps. I don't necessarily think that any of these are gonna be completely done by the end of the month. Maybe one of them will, it'll surprise me. But even if I only make a little bit of progress on all 5 of these in August, I'm gonna feel really good about them. I'm just gonna speed through them. It's the flowers, the on-site accommodation plan, the hotel block, the rehearsal dinner catering, and then the groomsmen attire. These are like the big things on my list right now. All right, let's move on to the weekly action items. So the first one is something I'm gonna try to do weekly in August, and this stems directly from the fact that August, like I said, is pretty much empty, and all of my weekends in August are basically free, and that is to go rollerblading once a week. Now, the place I went rollerblading the first time I did it was back up in our old neighborhood. We were up there for something else, and I knew that that park up there in our old neighborhood had a basketball court that would likely have a flat space that I could practice on. I have not figured out where I'm gonna rollerblade yet in our new neighborhood, so I still have to figure that out. But once I nailed that down, that maybe should have been its own step, is like figuring out where to rollerblade. Basically what I need to do is on tennis shoes, like just go for a walk and find the spot without rollerblades, and then I can go back and rollerblade there. I have one idea that I'm gonna try a space in our neighborhood. I'm gonna go see what it looks like. Otherwise I might just have to like start Googling and looking at Google Maps, but I will figure it out. And then once I figure it out, the goal is to do it once a week in August. All right, the next weekly action item is the book notes. And one of the things that I realized was when I first did the math, thinking I have this many nonfiction books that I want to take notes for, and I have this many weeks in the quarter, it's going to take 1 book a week. That did not account for additional books that I would read, including the 3 nonfiction books, almost 4 that I read on vacation. So I redid the math with the books that I project that I'm gonna finish by the end of the quarter, and then it comes out to 1.5 books a week. So what I did was I put space on my power sheets for 2 separate book notes. So the first line is the one that I like 100% need to get done to at least somewhat stay on pace with my goal. And then the second one, I only really need to do half of the weeks in order to stay on pace with my goal. But I gave it its own second row so that if I do it every week, I get credit for it, and then I feel good about that, and then I will be ahead for September. Or if not, like, that's okay too. Like, I'm okay with the empty space, but that's why I split it up into 2 weeks. I did the same thing with the memory keeping. So I included current week on there because I think doing the current week while it's fresh in my mind is just the best way to keep me motivated. Like, I'm the most excited to do the most recent stuff. I'm not as excited to go back and do like March and April. And then I put 2 past weeks on here because I got a little behind, and I already did the math wrong because I forgot that I also didn't have March. So in my head, I was thinking if I do the current week and a prior week, I'll catch up by the end of the quarter. But that's not necessarily true because I have 4 months that I didn't do before and only 3 months here. And then I didn't really do any, and I might not get to any in July. So really, I do have to do 2 weeks of past stuff every week in August and September in order to catch up. If you didn't follow that math, that's okay. All you should know is I have current week and then past week twice. All right, daily action items. A lot of these are carryovers directly from July, which is very normal for me. I usually only try to incorporate 1 or 2 brand new habits every single month. So 7 hours of sleep, direct carryover, we talked about that. Make and follow plan, also carrying that over. Even though I did feel like I did a good job when I wasn't on vacation, still something that is really important to the program I'm a part of, and want to make sure that I keep doing that well in August. The first new one that I added was assess the plan. And I did this sometimes in July, it just wasn't in my power sheets because it's built into my planner. So the fitness planner that I use that's part of this weight loss program, I shared it in a vlog, which I will link below if you're interested in checking that out. You can only get the planner if you are part of the community. But anyways, in each of the daily layouts of this planner is a place to assess your plan. I didn't do that every day, especially days that I followed the plans. I was like, why do I need to assess if I followed the plan? But I've been listening to a lot more and learning a lot more from the course, and there's also like calls almost every day that I can get in my podcast player. I've been listening to coaching, and there is value still in the assessment page, even if you do follow the plan. So one of my goals for August is to consistently fill out that assessment page, even if I do follow the plan that I set. And then the next one is also new on my power sheets, but something that I have been doing in July. I just want to track it and see exactly how it goes on here. And that is not eating breakfast until I'm hungry. The ultimate goal is to do this all the time for every meal, for every snack, is not to eat until I'm hungry. That's one of the concepts of the program. But I'm starting small, and I'm starting with the easiest one, which is breakfast, because that one typically doesn't require like a break in calls, or it doesn't require waiting for Sam or eating with Sam or going out to dinner with friends. Like, breakfast is one of those meals that is completely within my control. That might not be the case for you, but it is the case for me. And so my goal is to not eat breakfast until I'm hungry. For me, that's until my stomach growls. My stomach growls before I get to that hangry stage, because I can get there, but my stomach typically growls before then. And so once my stomach growls, then I get to eat breakfast. And that is how I'm working on learning those hunger cues. And so I am gonna track that in my power sheets in August. And then the last 2 are both related to the routine quarterly goal. And since I took AM routine out, I added in my lunchtime routine, especially as I start going back to the office more. I still want to make sure that I am doing my lunchtime routine and not just working through lunch. Really is. I feel like people struggle with that at home. I struggle with that way more at work. At work, I don't take a break and get away from my desk. So I put lunchtime routine instead of the AM routine, and then I kept PM routine because clearly I need to keep working on that one. So that is it. Those are all of the things I am working on in August. Again, please do not feel like you have to fill up every line of your power sheets just because that's what I did. That is what worked for me this month, and the goals that I'm working on right now. You'll notice I'm tracking a lot of the same things that I've already done, and I'm tracking a lot of really small things just to help me move forward and make progress. So as always, I want you to let me know down in the comments, what is one thing that you accomplished in the month of July that you are super proud of? It does not have to be huge. Small progress is still progress, and I want to celebrate with you. So let us know down in the comments what goal action step you accomplished in July. And if you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you're new here, please click that subscribe button. I upload new videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday focused on helping you achieve your goals. Thank you so much for watching. That was very awkward. And that didn't happen. Oh, and April. I forgot about April. Hold on. This is also why I need a lunch break, is because I need a air conditioning break. That is wrong. And then the last 2 daily, the auditions are until August, after August?